Hello, RC YouTubies. We're here today to review this hot racing aluminum big bore shock. Pretty nice bit of kit. I've already gone ahead and installed the oil and bled it off. I will tell you one thing about the bleed screw is you got to crank that down pretty good. I don't know if the plastic's really hard. I think it would be better with a little small miniature O-ring to tighten down on, but they give you this little hard piece of plastic. Got to crank that down pretty good, but it bled out really well, and I don't set any rebound on my shocks, so I let the rebound be in the spring itself. It comes with these purple springs, which I think are medium. Hot Racing has a large selection of front and rear springs that you can get, and I'll be getting those in the future. This is going to be an install on a Traxxas Slash 2-wheel drive VXL, and I just kind of wanted to point out some things for it. The turn collar has like a little rubber O-ring in it so that they actually stay where it should be. It's a very good shock. I haven't seen anybody do any reviews online, so I thought I'd pop something on there. I'm sure there is something on there, but search just hasn't revealed anything. Seals at the bottom, you can see it uses a snap ring, if you could see that, to seal that off, along with two O-rings. I've went ahead and put some 30 weight oil in it. I should probably do 50 weight since everybody says the Slash with 50 weight and lighter springs do really well, but we'll test it out and see. That's actually all I had, so I had to use what I had. But we're going to go ahead and show you a few things about the install real quick, just so that you know for yourself, because there's really no directions on installing it, but you can always find something on the internet for bleeding and filling the shock oil up. There's like a million of them. But I just kind of want to show you the install, how they say to do it and how I did it. So give me a second, I'll get all that set up. Okay, first off, on the 2-wheel drive Slash, this is a stock Traxxas A-arm, and I had to actually file down both sides in order to get this ball to slide in there. I didn't want to pop the ball out. I kind of liked it, so I'm going to leave it. Some people just pop it out, but I just filed that down a little bit flush so that it would fall in there really easy. Okay, now this is how they suggest installing it. Taking your ball, putting a washer on the flange so that the washer's around the flange. Then on this end, you have a bevel. Yeah, I'm new at this, sorry. You have a beveled spacer, which this tapered screw head fits into. Then all of this goes together. Into the shock body with another O-ring, and then a spacer of your size. It comes with several different sizes spacers, but that's the way it ends up looking, and then you attach that to the mount. That's their suggestions for it. Make sense? That's pretty easy. But my suggestion is to ditch the O-rings altogether. Because basically it gets rid of all your pivot. You don't have no pivot once you're using the O-rings, which probably don't matter, but I kind of like the idea of being able to pivot. Give me a second to get this off. Okay, in my install, You see we have the tapered screw that fits into the tapered washer, just like so. What we're going to do is we're going to take that out and we're going to turn that around backwards. And then we're going to stick the ball on. We're going to use this pan head screw instead of that one. We'll put this into the bottom lower A-arm, and we'll use the pan head on top. I wish it came with a couple extra pan heads, but it doesn't. It comes with one of each. One tapered, one pan head. So just like so. And we can see that all that disappears. If he was to do it like they wanted to do, the actual ball, the flange, actually goes up inside the hole and gets caught up in there. With the way I installed it, the flange disappears, doesn't go into the hole, because the flange is the same size, 6mm hole. This is a 6mm hole, so it's the same size. Otherwise, the flange goes in the hole and then there's no pivot anyway. So look at that, it goes right through. And it gets caught up in there, and then there's no pivot. So it should be right there. So they should include ones that don't include the flange, but since they have, we're going to use that beveled washer. Put that on. Put that in our shock, and then put our spacer on. And then when it's all tightened down, you have plenty, maybe a little bit of slot, but you do have pivot. There's no flange for it to get caught up on. Give me a second and I'll get it on the vehicle and show you. Okay, all installed with the car now. Plenty of room, plenty of flexibility. It's able to pivot properly. See, both of them are like that. You can see I used a pan head, reverse that around. These shocks are nice. I mean, they work great. Unfortunately, that pivot ball was driving me crazy with the two O-rings. I didn't see no need for that. You can see where I ground that down a little bit. Use the taper screw down here. I'll eventually get me some other pan head screws to stick in there. But for now, it's going to have to work. Rear set up the same way. Except in the rear, I had to use the taper screw until I can get some other ones. Great shocks. And you can see I'm using the stock Traxxas spacers just because I didn't want to measure. These stay in place really good with the O-ring. But this is just so I can get it up front here too. Just so I know. And I turn the bleed screws inward. Hopefully they won't come in contact with anything. I was afraid of being on the outside that they would get sheared. So hopefully they'll be more protected on the inside. It's a little stiff because of the blue springs. But as you can see, I got on-road tires on it. So this should be really good for on-road. I'll definitely have to use the different springs to get some roll going on when I'm on the dirt. But other than that, great shocks. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.